Mason eye chip. My friends contacted me that the Masons were advertising at a fair in Ontario to convince parents to put Mason eye chips on their children. Not in the bodies, but on them. The Masons call it the Mason eye chip kit. They say it's for children's protection in case something happens to them. In this kit, the parent is to provide them with fingerprints, digital photograph, brief recorded interview on VHS or DVD that shows the child's mannerisms and speech patterns, dental impressions generated by qualified volunteers, and DNA sample. Then they state, no information of identified children is to be retained by anyone except the permission from held by the Masonic Grand Lodge or by any organization or agency involved. The last time I can remember, fingerprints, photo, recorded interview, dental impression, DNA sample are only taken of criminals. Now they're trying to manipulate your mind and give total strangers that type of information of your child? I'm not buying that bullshit. The chip in the debit card has been put in the debit card to get you used to chips. That's another sign of the New World Order.
Before I say computer chips, I gotta deal with brothers flipping. Before I say computer chips, I gotta deal with brothers flipping. Before I say computer chips, I gotta deal with brothers flipping.
Cameras. Cameras on the streets in Hamilton and many other cities. Look at what we've allowed them to do. This is the future. The New World Order wants cameras on every street corner and even in every home. Look at the laptop monitors with the built-in webcam already. Cameras on some highways like the 407 where they snap a picture of your car. The airport already has cameras that can categorize everyone's facial features into a supercomputer. If your face is recorded in the database, this camera can tell the computer where you are at all times. They invented this for the so-called terrorists.
Or perhaps you just looked suspicious when boarding an airplane last month.
And if you live in Chicago, you'll want to watch your facial expressions because under the guise of protecting commuters from pickpockets, the Chicago Transit Authority is installing high-resolution facial recognition cameras at every turnstile in each of its 144 L stations.
Man, and God forbid if you're sweating or have a headache or have a nervous look on your face, maybe trying to find a lost family member, because profilers will use that facial photo to determine your overall threat assessment.
Computerized currency. You can see that the debit card and Visa card are starting to get more popular, so everyone's using computerized currency instead of physically having paper money in your hand. Forming countries into unions. North American Union trying to be formed is a sign of taking down borders and for the New World Order being established. The Security Prosperity Partnership was formed by Paul Martin, George W. Bush, and Vicente Fox on March 23, 2005. This is the sign of a North American Union.
The Bush administration's open borders policy and its decision to ignore the enforcement of this country's immigration laws is part of a broader agenda. President Bush signed a formal agreement that will end the United States as we know it, and he took the step without approval from either the U.S. Congress or the people of the United States.
The Security and Prosperity Partnership will deliver neither security nor prosperity for the simple reason that it's not so far been democratic. Most of the discussions have been taking place behind closed doors.
This agreement was formed without the consent of the people. It is a free trade agreement between Canada, US, and Mexico, which is killing our economy. Free trade pretty much means that we are pretty much one economy then. Once the NAU is established, all three countries will have one currency called the Euro, very similar to the European Union with the Euro.
Apart from that, I think one thing people who are dollar-based need to focus on is the Amero. That's the one thing that nobody's talking about, but I think it's going to have a big impact on everybody's life in Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. If you Google it, you'll find out all about it. Well, the Amero is the proposed new currency for the North American community, which is being developed right now between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico to make a borderless community, much like the EU, and the dollar, Canadian dollar, U.S. dollar, and the Mexican peso replaced by the Amero.
You really think that will get any leeway?
Because there's an attempt to form the North American Union, immigration within the three countries is promoted.
That the Southwest, from California to Texas, once belonged to Mexico, and that the United States stole it in 1848 with the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Every child in Mexico is taught from birth, and officially in school, that the United States is the arch enemy of Mexico, and that it is their job to travel to the United States to take part in a reconquering, or La Reconquista, of the United States.
So the white American Spanish-speaking media drills into the Mexicans' heads that California to Texas once belonged to Mexico and the United States stole it in 1848.
Outlets spewing the slogan, Viva la Raza, which translated means long live the race, are owned by New York and London-based companies that are cold-bloodedly pushing the breakup of the United States.
I personally have noticed frightening similarities between the Mexican land claim protests in California and the native protests in Ontario and Canada. Every Mexican is taught from birth that America was stolen from them. Every native in Canada is taught from birth that Canada was stolen from them. Protests that are held in America, police help Mexican protesters and commit race-based policing against non-Mexican protesters.
The government is demonstrating a clear double standard in their treatment of citizens versus illegal aliens. Citizens are arrested if they don't have insurance or driver's license. Illegals are not. Illegal aliens don't have to have a valid form of identification to set up a bank account or get a car loan, while citizens do. But that didn't stop them from demanding the police physically stop an American citizen from engaging in his own silent protest. Josh Moore shot this video on a small still camera while riding his motorcycle and was stuck in traffic for more than an hour due to the protest. The police did not arrest a protester who assaulted the driver through his sunroof as the crowd cheered.
Protests that are held in Haldeman County, police help natives and commit race-based policing against non-natives.
The OPPs witnessed it all and they didn't do a damn thing.
I'm not suggesting that the protests that are held in Haldeman County were created to help form the NAU, but could it be possible that the Canadian government is using the same techniques on the country for a different reason? Well, I would like to point out in the year 2008, there was a Mexican flag hanging with the native flags on Douglas Creek Estate in Caledonia, Ontario. Why? Could it be a sign of the North American Union?
Teaming up with Canada, who teaming up with Mexico. United North Americans, they poisoning our vegetables. There's hormones in the melons, kid.
The Union has already been formed. The European Union has already been formed. The African Union has already been formed. Now just Pacific and North American Union have to be formed before they can combine them all to complete their New World Order. The United States and European Union have signed a new transatlantic economic partnership, which is pretty much free trade. Superhighways connecting the mega cities. NAFTA Highway is a sign of the New World Order. It's a superhighway connecting Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Depopulation. For a successful New World Order to be established, first, 80% of the population must be removed, and the ignorance, which is lack of knowledge of the people, must be sustained, so it's easier to maintain and control the population. Why else would they tell us to drink 6 to 8 glasses of tap water daily, poisoning our food, and spray all these types of chemicals in the sky? All of these attributes is evidence that there is a depopulation